I'm from Connecticut.
Nice. Which question? Who's it for?
Anyone who wants to answer. Besides a baseball player, what did you want to be growing up?
For me, I wanted to be a fireman because that's what my dad was. It's always looked up to. That's servant mentality. It was something that I wanted to be just like my dad. If it wasn't baseball, it was going to be that.
I like building stuff. I want to be an engineer. So,
I want to be an architect, so. Wow.
Build something.
I put all my eggs in my basket. There was baseball.
I like your shoes, by the way. Those are cool. What's your name?
Della.
Della. What's your question? Who's it for?
Everybody.
Everybody. Okay.
When did you first start playing baseball?
I started when I was 6 years old, when my stepfather brought me onto the field for the first time.
I started officially playing in T-ball, so I had been like 3 or 4.
Is that whole T-ball's a free sport? Yeah. Same for me, 4, 5, 6 in the day. T-ball.
How old are you?
5.
Yeah, I was over your age.
Do you play baseball?
No.
Not yet, anyway. Right. All right, let's go over here. What's your name, man?
Bailey.
Hey, Bailey, how old?
11.
You play?
Yeah.
What position?
Shortstop.
Shortstop. Nice. Where are you from?
Queechee, Vermont.
Oh, okay. Cool. Who's your question for?
Anybody that wants to answer.
A lot of anybody's.
What does a practice look like during the season?
We're going to have 2 different answers because obviously the pitchers are different schedule than us, but 7 o'clock game for me. I usually get to the park around 2. Go warm up, or go work out, go hit the cage. We have some meetings, and then EP's usually around 4. It's about 4 to 5, and then hang out for about an hour 15 before the game. Get ready to rock.
Jackson. Who's your question for?
Chris Sale.
Okay.
Who's your favorite player on the Boston Red Sox, but not yourself?
Favorite player on the Red Sox, but not myself.
Don't look to your left.
I was going to say, it's none of these guys. Oh, man. You got me there.
It's definitely a lose-lose, by the way.
Yeah, no, I can't. It's hard to answer that question because, I love all my teammates. We all have fun together. We all hang out a lot together. You know what? I'm gonna go AC. Not a player. I'm gonna go coach. He's my favorite guy in that clubhouse.
Hi.
I'm also trying to get some extra innings this year.
AC others. What's your name?
Ezra.
Ezra, where are you from?
Massachusetts.
Sweet. Looks like you're ready to go. What's your question for?
Chris Sale.
Okay.
What do you do if you're pitching and it's a really long inning and you have to go to the bathroom?
I've always wanted to know this.
If you're on the road, you gotta hold it. Because you're wearing gray pants and everyone's gonna see it. If you're at home and it's a number 1, you can just let it rip. You'll never see it on the white pants. Next time I'm pitching, you guys are gonna think about that.
Tips from the pros. All right.
Nice. You do this long enough, you find yourself in a lot of different situations. So you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
It's a great report.
But when do you, as an individual, turn the page? Because that's a career, that's a lifelong achievement. It's something special to you. When do you turn the page on that? When can you move on from it?
From the World Series. I don't know if moving on is a good word. I would say probably right around the first of the year for me is when my baseball senses start getting heightened. You win the World Series, you have fun, you go into the off season, and everyone you see for the first time is saying congratulations. But once the first of the year comes around, that's when it's like, okay, like the state green, this is, now we go for next year.
Yes. I mean, that experience for me will go down as probably one of my best so far. I mean, just the accumulation of what everybody put into that game to get us to that point, and then being able to kind of hold on, and then Vasky hitting that home run at the end. I think that, just the overall electricity in the air from the fans, from everybody on the field, from our teammates, it was kind of just one of those perfect moments, and everything kind of just came together. Just to be able to be a part of that, it's very, very special for me. But like Chris said earlier, it's about the team, and us being able to come together as a team and celebrate after that was probably my favorite part. It was incredible. It always being incredible moment.
Everyone saw that,
I said French toast.
Yeah, it was
At the beginning of the year, taking it a little bit slower. 5-inning games mostly, and then when the summer gets around, you can extend those starters. Because when the starters aren't pitching a lot, the bullpen gets a lot of use. If the starters are pitching a lot, then the bullpen doesn't get a lot of use. So if you use the bullpen a lot early in the year, then the starters can pitch more in the middle of the year, and you save the starters towards the end of the year to pitch more in the playoffs. So all that being said, I don't know, but I'm a starting pitcher. You hand me the ball, I'm going to throw it until you take the ball. And I don't have say on what day I pitch, when I pitch, who I pitch, how much I pitch. Hand me the ball, I'm going to throw it until you take it from me.
Great to see everybody. Everybody's happy because we're talking about 2013. What a year that was. You all still look very young. The rest of us have aged. It's amazing. 2013, it's amazing to believe that it was 10 years ago, that incredible season where so much happened. And a year of tragedy in Boston wound up a season of ecstasy with the Boston Red Sox, and how the two came together, and how this amazing group of guys, this incredible team, wrapped its arms around the city and healed it with this magical season. Unforgettable. And you're going to meet, again, several of the guys, several of the players who were instrumental in that championship. A couple of reminders about that year. John Farrell was the manager of that ball club. That Red Sox team won 97 games. Won the division, beat Tampa Bay, beat the Yankees, beat everybody. And I think it's instructive as we think about the 2023 season. You remember going in, the expectations were not sky high. The Red Sox had gone out and got Johnny Gomes and Shane Victorino, Mike Napoli, among others, but we didn't know. And those guys had won other places, but we weren't sure how it was all going to come together. We did know this. We had David Ortiz in that lineup. We knew that. We were pretty good shape right out of the gate. But, we think about the regulars on that team, along with those guys, Dustin Pedroia, Jacoby Ellsbury, Jared Saltamaki, Will Middlebrooks. Off the bench, Daniel Nava and Brock Holtz. Pitching staff, John Lester, Clay Buchholz, Felix Dubron, John Lackey, Jake Levy eventually. Outstanding bullpen with Andrew Miller, Junichi Tozawa, Koji Uehara. It was just ridiculous. And it remains to this day, after 32 years of Major League Baseball, maybe my favorite all-time team to call every single day. And I know how much you enjoyed it as well. So many of the men who carried the Red Sox to the 2013 World Championship at the top of the mountain with their legendary performances are with us today. So let's bring them on for what I believe will be a very entertaining and informative hour of chatter about 2014. So let's begin with the left-handed setup man for the Red Sox, who was terrific in the regular season and the postseason as well. He appeared in 61 games that season, had a 181 ERA, a 0.65 earned run average in the second half of that season, a native of New Haven, Connecticut, and a Yale graduate with degrees in molecular biophysics and biochemistry. I can barely spell those. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Breslow. This gentleman hit 17 home runs, playing third base every day for the Red Sox in 2013. He hit a September Grand Slam, which was one of 5 that September that the Red Sox hit as they were driving for home field advantage in the postseason. He was also involved in one of the most weird and strange plays in the history of the postseason. And we're absolutely going to get commentary from the great Will Middlebrooks on that. This gentleman has the longest name in the history of Major League Baseball, 14 letters. I think it has to be recalled that Salty had the hit to win Game 2 of the American League Championship Series, when of course Big Poppy did an immortal thing in that game. But he had an outstanding year in 2013. He had 273, 40 doubles, 14 home runs, had a 466 slugging average, had an outstanding season. Ladies and gentlemen, Jared Salty. You still look great. He said, you got that right. This guy began so many rallies that on the air on Red Sox radio, it took us we called him Big Hit Johnny all season long. He had the hit to lead off the 9th inning in the American League Championship Series, and the Red Sox were tied, of course, 5-5 at the time, and Salty would have the big hit that won that game. But Johnny Gomes got that rally started. Of course, in the World Series, in game number 4 in St. Louis, the Red Sox were down 2-1, remember. We're tied 1-1 in the 6th inning. Johnny was the guy who belted the 3-run homer to lift the Red Sox to a victory and eventually on to a World Championship. And think about this, in the ALDS and the ALCS, when Johnny Gomes started in left field, the Red Sox went 6-0. Tells you something. Ladies and gentlemen, in pride of Petaluma, California, Johnny Gomes. This man needs no introduction wherever he goes. He is now enshrined forever in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Will stand forever. And of course, he made not one but 2 incredible speeches. The one in April, of course, which I'll never forget. If you were in the ballpark, or you were watching or listening, you heard it. And later they questioned the head of the Federal Communications Commission about was that appropriate. And the head of the FCC said, nobody could have said it better. For me personally, to be in the ballpark the moment that Big Poppy hit the home run in ALCS game number 2, the Grand Slam, was one of the most electrifying things I will ever see in sports. And a lot of you, I think, were in the ballpark at the time. I've never heard a sound quite like that before. He was the World Series MVP. He only hit 688. And obviously what he's done over the course of an incredible career will never be forgotten. Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Famer, David Ortiz. opportunities to come up and ask some questions of the guys as well, but I'd like to just start off with, one of the things that marked that ball club, Johnny, was you were the band of brothers, with the beards. And even inside the World Series ring that each of these guys got, there is a little cartoon character of a ball player with a beard. It's inside the ring, you really have to look for it. But that was a magical thing about that team too. And you're one of the guys that got it going, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like a gimmicky deal, but, we're kind of coming off the NHL, and, the words of the playoff beard is always big in the NHL. And it was kind of like, let's start the mentality right now in spring training to grow our beards out before the playoffs, because we're going to the playoffs. Right? So there had to be a goal, there had to be a mindset. And it was, did the beard ever get a hit? No. But I think it was one of those things that brought us together. The beards could talk now.
David, did you think that team was going to the postseason back in spring training? Thank you.
To be honest with you, I know we had a pretty good chance to go to the postseason. I just wasn't sure that we were going to be able to win it all.
And isn't that interesting? Because when a team comes together in the spring, you've got these good pieces. Guys have won. Johnny had won everywhere he had gone. Shane Victorino had won a championship. Guys have had successful forward. But there's no guarantee, is there? I mean, there's never a guarantee, Salty, that you're going to have a great year.
There's no guarantee today, tomorrow, and I think that's what we did, is every day we just lived in the moment. But I think that front office, mixture with the coaching, with the players, the different personalities that were brought in, it wasn't a personality of that's all right, we'll get them tomorrow. No, it's we're going to win now. There's no option other than winning now. There's no option than playing as hard as you possibly can. If you didn't play as hard as you could, you were going to hear it from somebody in that clubhouse. So that's the thing what made everyone get better.
Will, would you hear it from Pedroia?
Well, I would hear it from everyone. But I thought, leadership from the front office to our coaching staff did a really good job of letting these guys be the voice and these guys be the coaches. You rarely saw our coaches come to the clubhouse telling anybody what to do. It was these guys, and that's what made us really good.
Greg, did you feel like first day of spring training, you look around, was there a moment where you went, you know what, if this breaks, we do this right, yeah, we could be very deep into October?
Well, I think the list had to be a lot longer in order to get there. But I think what can be overlooked is that we assembled a baseball team, not a collection of talent or statistics. And I think what we saw, it became really evident just how far that could take you.
So obviously we can't go very far in this discussion without talking about April 15th and the tragedy of the Boston Marathon bombing, in which 3 people lost their lives and 260 people were injured, many of them very, very seriously. And it was a game the Red Sox were playing that day where they were then leaving and going on to Cleveland. And in fact, you guys weren't really entirely sure what you were leaving behind when you were able to get out of town. Barely got out, by the way, to get on that plane. But Johnny, what was the feeling as you boarded that flight and left Boston behind that day?
Yeah, it was a real awkward situation, Coach. I mean, the athletes inside the Red Sox, whether it's the Royals, the Patriots, the Red Sox, all the above, kind of like the rock of the city at the time. It was just such an eerie feeling as we're driving out of the city, passing ambulances, fire trucks, police cars, going into the city. It was just an awkward situation. We should be there. We should be there for the people. We should be there for our families. And then us kind of being the scapegoat. But that's just how the schedule worked out at the time. But then there are so many unknowns, if you remember, if you go back to them. Was there a bomb on our plane? Was there a bomb in Fenway? What's going to happen next? And there's just so many unanswered questions. It was a wild flight, going to Cleveland.
I remember Will looking into the Indians, then the Indians dugout, and they had put 617 and put it in the back of their dugout. And a lot of their players had written 617 on their spikes that day.
Yeah, it was just a way to show support. All of a sudden baseball was nothing. Baseball wasn't important. But then we took it upon ourselves to say, let's make it important. Let's give these guys something, give them an outlet, give them something to keep their mind off all this negativity and this tragedy. And that's really something. We already had this plan, this master plan of winning the World Series, right? But this was just more spark to that fire that drove us even further.
So of course, eventually the city is shut down, and they're searching for the suspects, and there's no baseball for a day or two, and eventually they capture the suspect, and we come back and play ball, and then there's that glorious day against Kansas City where, David, you grab the microphone and step up in front of 35,000 people. Frankly, one of the great speeches in the history of the city of Boston, and that's saying something. Where did that come from? And did you plan to say what you said when you woke up that morning?
No, I mean, I was in Boston because I started the season at the Elk, and my boys, they were just going to Cleveland for about, 3 days? And come back, which it was like, based on the occasion, it worked out perfect because, like Johnny said, I mean, you're flying away from your family after something like that goes down, your mind is all over the place, bought and baseball, to be honest with you, because now you're left behind something that is going on, but we don't know what else is going to be cooking based on what happened. So, me, because I was in DL, I had to stay up on Tucker, rehab at the time, and I saw how everything went down, and it was, I mean, it was something that hit home for everybody. So they basically, when we got to the field, we had that game, because I was one of the guys, the guy that has been in the organization longer, I guess, they picked me, and I mean, they know I'm open mind, you know, I'm a little out there, you know what I'm saying? So they play with fire for a minute. To be honest with you, I want to say more, you know what I'm saying? But I just say how I feel. You know, I love this country. This country has been great to me and my family. I'm an American citizen. Play with a guy that is straight up military right here. This dude right here. This dude, I mean, I love this guy because this guy is nothing but respect, you know what I'm saying? And we had like the perfect, you know, the perfect group at the time. And I had all this guy behind me, and basically what I went out there and say, it wasn't planned or anything, he just came out.
Where did it come out?
I remember, I mean, that first month, I think the article was written but never printed. The Red Sox offense was light without David. Right? And guys like Salty picked it up, like historical month, and Nat picked it up. And then when we came back to play in Kansas City, so David was there. I was like, oh cool, you know, David's back for the ceremony, all that stuff. Then he's in the lineup. I was like, oh man, they messed up. They woke David Ortiz up. They got David at Pawtucket. They're in trouble now.
And then punctuated it with "Stay Strong," and that became the rallying cry that entire season. Boston Strong. And this particular season just felt like it was pushed along by something unseen as the months rolled by and you guys piled up wins. Everybody else around baseball suddenly realized Red Sox are really good, like World Series good. Wind up winning 97 games. Then you play Tampa Bay right away in the postseason. And my memory was they were favored. With their pitching staff, they were supposed to come into Boston and win. And each of you guys did something in that series. I remember to put them away. But Greg in particular, I remember you had a terrific performance in the postseason. And by the way, you were just money down the stretch over and over again. But I thought that was the single most important series, to knock those guys off, at least to convince the rest of the world this club has a good chance to win it all.
Yeah, well, I think what we had that others didn't was the postseason version of David Ortiz, and that changes things, and it changes things really quickly. But we also had a really deep, starting rotation. It kind of didn't matter the way things played out, certainly, in that series, and then when we went up against Detroit, there were some names, but I think the consistency of the performance is something that we really took advantage of on our side, and then beyond that. some depth in the bullpen. It's easy to overlook the reality that Koji, who was the best pitcher on the planet in 2013, was our fifth option as closer.
Only the fifth, yeah.
Right. So when the fifth guy in your bullpen is the best pitcher on the planet, and then a guy like Junichi Tozawa steps up and becomes a really reliable eighth inning guy. We had contributions from a number of guys that going into the season people hadn't heard of. That's what it takes to go deep in the postseason. It's not just superstars being superstars. It's kind of the role players that we have relishing that chance, stepping up, and also embracing the role.
So the Koji would come flying off after getting the outs into the dugout, slapping everybody as hard as he wanted to break his hand.
Koji was special. He had more energy than anyone I've ever met in my life for one. But it was like invisible. I mean, it didn't matter.
Wake up!
You didn't shake his hand or give him a high five. But I mean, he just brought the energy. I mean, you hear about power bomb coming out of the bullpen, you just get goosebumps when the song comes on, you know the lights are out. Then you got Koji comes in, smiling, goofy looking, awesome guy, but just one of the funniest guys in the clubhouse too. And just he's coming out with 84 miles an hour, and he's gonna punch you out. So
it was incredible to watch. I mean, the ball would stop on its way, and then it'd strike guy after guy out.
I truly believe that was God's gift to me after having to catch Wakefield for 2 years.
The one thing that I like a lot about the 2013 team is that, you had a whole bunch of studs out there, but you also had guys that, for example, you look at Koji, you know how the closers look like. They're tough and big and nasty and all that. But you look at Koji and you're like, oh, he ain't getting me out. He ain't getting me out. What's up? That's how he did. I mean, we had the perfect team. Look at that, that was nasty. That's what he said here. But we had the perfect guy. I mean, we had the perfect pieces. Like Johnny said, everybody come every night. You don't know where the punch was going to come from. Because everybody was trying to win a baseball game every night.
You knock off Tampa Bay. Okay, a lot of people think that's great. What the Red Sox have done with the season, and what happened in Boston, that's amazing. You go up against the Detroit Tigers, whose pitching staff is going to put half of them in the Hall of Fame anyway, when it's all said and done. And they were the favorite team against the Red Sox. In game number one, the Red Sox seemed to prove the point because Sox didn't get a hit until the 9th inning of that game. Almost no hit in game one of the ALCS and lost that game. But game two comes around and the Sox are down 5-1 in the 8th inning of that game. And it looks like there's no shot. They're not going anywhere. They're going to lose this game, then have to face Justin Verlander in Detroit for game 3. It's over. Load up the bases. And David Ortiz comes to the plate. And David, if you would take it from there, because it's one of the great stories, I think, in baseball history, what you were looking for and why?
No, I mean, they know that a couple of months before that, we were playing at Detroit, and that was when they came to their closer. And I was playing that day, and I pinched it, and I was striking out. I was really good about 3-2 from the split finger. And he kept up 97, 98. So, because it wasn't such a great at bat, everybody went to the video room to watch that at bat on the screen. I don't know if you guys remember that. They all went to watch the one at bat just to see the last pitch. Basically, the whole at bat was, we were going back and forth battling, and then all of a sudden we have a 3-2 from the split. And since that day, I told myself, next time I face Benoit, I'm gonna be looking for that split, the first pitch. Here comes this situation. When I saw him coming out of the bullpen, that was the first thing coming into my mind, my head. Here comes my split finger. He tried to throw me a split finger first pitch for the strike. That was it. But what I'm trying to tell you is that one thing I always discuss with my teammates while we play, you cannot play the game with the empty mentality. You always have to have an approach. But the most important thing, do not let anyone change your approach. If you're gonna die when you want, not because somebody else is making a mistake. And that was my mentality while I played. If I was hunting for something, I would go for it until I die. If you give it to me, I'll make it better. So good.
So like, I'll touch on that. Like, that story is like, that's like Hall of Fame right there, right? So you gotta understand, like, months prior, David Ortiz struck out on a split. So he writes it down, boom, folds it, and logs it. But potentially the next time that he's gonna face him, when is it? Is it bases loaded? You know, down by 4?
Biggest moment of the season.
Biggest moment of the season. But David Ortiz, that's what Hall of Fame is. That's it. That's the separation, right? How many other guys forgot about that at bat? Forgot about what he saw 3-2. Forgot about that sequence. So that is why David Ortiz is in the Hall of Fame for stuff like that. Like a strike career, grand slam. And that's the stuff I live for, the game within the game, the chess match, the result that happened 3 months prior to the grand slam. It wasn't like David Ortiz just went up, pitch, homer. Like the method behind the madness is Major League Baseball, and that's why I stood in the hall.
It's silly though, because a mortal man hits a double. Or maybe a triple. And you're still down a run. An immortal guy hits it out of the ballpark. It almost kills Torrey Hunter.
That's my brother. Right?
I know.
Me and Torrey, we grew up in the Minnesota Twin system. And we came up to the minor league. And by the way, Torrey was the first guy who ever told me, hey, like we started playing Able, and when we got to Double A, he told me, boy, you nasty. You're gonna be in the big leagues yet. I'm like, what are you talking about? So he breakfast. Then a week later, I got called up. Like Torrey, we go back and forth. That's my guy. And I was, believe it or not, when I went around second base, I was worried because of the way he went down. You know what I'm saying? I was really, like for a moment, I kind of disconnected myself of the situation because I saw my dude, just going down hard. And I thought something really bad happened down there. But the minute I saw him getting on,
So, rarely have you heard a ballpark sound like that as David touched home plate. But the deed isn't done. It's 5-5. And the Red Sox go to the 9th inning. Bottom of the 9th, Johnny leads off that inning with a big hit. And at the time, they're like, okay, maybe that'll start something. Maybe it won't. But eventually, the inning gets to Salty at the plate. Red Sox have a hit.
It's something you dream of. As a kid, you want to be able to be in that situation. Try and pick your team up. And I think, what was able to help me be successful in that situation is my teammates. The fact that all year long, we just did our job, whatever that situation is. They didn't need a home run right there. We didn't. As a matter of fact, I think Farrell gave me a hit and run earlier in that at bat that I popped up, and thankfully Prince kind of screwed it up. But that's just kind of the team we were. So it was a good matchup. You had a guy throwing good sinker balls, and went right into my bat speed and my bat path. He was 95, 96, I was shocked. He was 92, 93. But no, I was just trying to do my job, get him in. Thankfully Johnny was on there, set it up, put it on tee for me. But I didn't have any good stories. Like I faced that guy 2 months earlier.
But obviously, it's a huge win. You come from, Greg, you're going to lose that game. 5 minutes later, you're celebrating on the field. It's 1-1, and it's a whole new series.
We carried that momentum. I mean, the next day, I think it's often overlooked the home run that Mike Knapp was.
Still hasn't come down, but
no, it hasn't. But I mean, that series was incredible. Really closely fought games.
John Heide, by the way, terrific performance in that game that people don't talk enough about. There were a lot of good starts by pitchers in that Series.
That's right.
Yeah, and then that was kind of the point I think I tried to make earlier where we talked about John Lester hasn't affected the postseason record, right? But like John Lackey was phenomenal for us, and Buck also would kind of come back off the injured list, to give us some length in the postseason, and then some of the starters that came out of the bullpen to hold up leads for us. It was a team contribution, and everyone cared far more about what we could accomplish together than what anyone was going to accomplish individually.
So, remarkable series. Red Sox come back, they win it, and it's on to the World Series against the St. Louis Cardinals. And another situation where, in many people's books, the Red Sox are the underdog to win against this pitching staff and these guys from the National League. And it turned out to be, it was a 6-game series, but it was amazing. But maybe the most amazing thing about it was the St. Louis Cardinals decided to pitch to David Ortiz the entire series. And he batted 688 and just ate them alive time and time again. David, was there a time in that series where you're like, yeah, they're gonna, I mean, I think in Game 6 they finally did walk a couple of times.
Too late. But I don't know, man. I think when you have the thing is that they had a manager at the time who I love, Martini, right? Yeah. So when he played, he was a very challenging guy. He used to be the catcher who basically changed his pitching staff mentality based on when there are pitchers out there that sometimes they feel that they don't have the quality stuff to get a guy out. But then that pitcher has a catcher who be like, F no, we got it, and this is what we're gonna do. And McKinney was one of those guys. So I guess that based on his personality as a player, he was the reason why he tried to continue reaching me at a certain point. Because the reality is that when a good hitter is hot, you just stay away from him. I got caught up in some hotness at the moment, and
your whole career.
So I mean, it was. I was seeing the ball right, and they were just like, keep on challenging me. That 1 minute that we have in the dugout, game 4, because I mean, like, as a player at any sport, the first thing you need to worry about is get to know your teammates. I know who I was sharing team, the clubhouse and dugout with. I know these guys. There's not one guy that I ever seen that when you challenge him, he will make sure it's this guy right here. This guy right here, when you wanna make him believe that he can't, this guy right here, I've never seen anything like that before. Because I was talking and I don't even know that I have to lead up. I was talking and I didn't even know that I had to lead up. So, but then Johnny, we had that conversation and Johnny just was like, wait a minute, this is the World Series for real. You don't know when you're gonna come back here. And he went out there and shows up, I shows up, and the rest of the team, started just doing their thing. But I know what was playing with. The reason why I basically follow everybody is because the team was so young. They were in the mission because of the great team that they had. And I have the ability to, based on the position that I was playing first base at the time, but I know while I'm the agent, I look at my boys and I know what they are capable of. But I saw that we kind of, I would not call it shutdown because nobody shuts you down in a Major League Baseball game or in a World Series situation that we have at the time. But it had got to the point where we wasn't attacking like we normally do. We were like more like slowing down mojo than attacking. And I know the talent that we had, so I guess it just came out at the right time because since that point, everybody just started doing their thing.
Well, your season of eloquence did because it nailed it. And you were down 2 games to 1, and that game was tied 1-1 when Johnny came up to bat. Were you thinking, I'm going to hit a home run?
So Lance Lynn, was on the mound. He basically did, the unintentional, intentional walk. Today, with 4 pitches in a row, and I saw it happening. And as a guy, you're competitive, and you don't want him to do that. Well, then they went and took him out, and then they brought in Seth Mattis. And the first thing that came to me when he crossed the line, it's like, oh, my day's over, because Mike Napoli's on the bench, right? And this is 100% Mike Napoli's at bat. It should be. So in a normal situation, when pitching change happens, you go to the dugout, you get the scouting report, you look at all stuff, talk to the hitting coach. And I was thinking to myself, if I go to the dugout, it's probably going to speed up the process. They're going to realize that Johnny's getting ready to take this bat when Nap's on the bench. So I was like, I can't go to the dugout. Even though I've never faced a student, I wanted the reports and all stuff, but I was like, if I go back, it's going to speed up on him. So I scooted my way away from the dugout, and I was counting his pitches and watching him. So as soon as he threw his last pitch, I just basically ran up and put my foot in the box because I needed this. Am I going to hit a home run? I don't know. I needed the opportunity.
Huge Red Sox would obviously want to win the series. It was something that happened with Little Brooks in that series that went down in baseball history because it was the first time a World Series game ever ended on an obstruction play. The umpire at the time was Jim Joyce, great umpire. It was a crazy play, Petey firing home, Salty makes the play, and then what happened after that?
Yeah, so the throw, that would have been a sick double play in the inning too, but it wasn't a bad throw. I mean, the throw, it wasn't a bad throw. It was just inside the base a little bit. So I'm straddling the back. Alan Craig's coming into me. When I go to catch the ball, my glove goes into him. So I couldn't open my glove up to catch the ball. At that point, I think the ball's like below us. So I'm trying to get up and get the ball. At that point, he's trying to go over me. He kicks me like right in my head. He had a flat tire already anyways. He'd been struggling with an ankle injury on here. And kicked me, went down, and then we were all just confused. We didn't know what happened. And then it just like set in. We just lost a World Series game because of me, and it's one of those things where I don't know what I could have done any different. Jim Joyce told me, I ran home plate, and so, what do I do there? He goes, you gotta disappear. I said, well, Jim, I'm working that in the off-season. I don't know how to do that. And
He said you gotta
disappear. So I had a good conversation with him the next day. He was apologetic to me, and I'm like, listen, if I rule, it's the right call. Does it suck? Yeah, absolutely it does. Michael Waka, who was here last year with us, was pitching for the Cardinals in that series as a rookie. And my parents had driven up from Texarkana, Texas, where we both grew up together. Michael and I. They all drove up together. All our families are there. That went down. It was not a fun moment, but luckily it ended up all right.
Well, it sure did, and just a bizarre play. What can you do? The next night ends on almost an equally bizarre play where Colton Wong gets picked off first base by Koji and the game. That's actually won the World Series game. So that happened back-to-back nights. Then, of course, you guys are back here, and with the opportunity to win a World Championship at Fenway Park.
That was his first pick all year.
First pick all year.
His first pick all year.
In the World Series.
When you think about a Colton Wong, not a bad idea. The guys never picked the first. What a good time to play.
That's incredible. That play sent spring training officials because PFP and controlling the running game, pickoffs running is the bane of everyone's existence in spring training. And what we would try to argue is that this stuff doesn't actually, kind of make the difference between winning games and losing games, except maybe in the World Series.
Given everything that had occurred, that unforgettable season, coming back to Fenway to win a World Championship, that felt so right. It had been 100 years since the Red Sox had been able to do that, win one in Fenway Park. And it was such a great feeling in the ballpark, and I'm sure you guys felt it too. You had a job and you had to win the game, but the wonderful, warm feeling about the fullness of that season and the healing that you guys were such an active part in that year. And then at the end, it's Koji with the strikeout, so appropriate for it to end that way. And do you remember, Johnny, what you felt the moment that happened and you guys were the 2013 World Champions of Baseball?
Yeah, so we got in left field, as the game, we had a lead and we were going to win the game. We had it. I remember, just looking up, you kind of see the aisles, like right here in the 6th inning, a couple people were in the aisles, and then the 7th inning. By the 9th inning, you couldn't see the aisles, which tells me like people from the outside were pouring in. So even knowing like the security guards and everyone that was on the streets, everyone wanted to be in the building. So you look up and you can see like aisles, and you couldn't see anything. Like I can imagine the capacity of the building when we won it. And I always say that there's one anniversary of baseball. Like we don't celebrate Triple Crowns, we don't celebrate MVPs. Also, the only anniversary of baseball is championships. Right? Those are the pennants up on the wall. So after that last out, I just knew like this is going to be forever. And here we are 10 years later.
Those of you who can step up to the microphone and ask any one of the guys anything you like, we'd love to hear from you for the last 15 to 20 minutes or so. Young lady, if you want to start us off, tell us your name, where you're from.
My name is Kelly. I'm from North Rock, Maine. My question is for Dave Ortiz. Do you plan to bring back Steve Morgan, the Golden Cup, for the 10-year anniversary?
Steve Morgan, the police officer who did the touchdown sign.
Oh, he got to be there. That man's his history right there. You know what? I feel bad for him one time because I'm at the gym working out, running, and he was right across the street. Like the gym that we have at Fenway is right above the parking lot. So he goes the street, and then there's a net on the other side where fans walk by. He was standing there for 2 hours with his hand like this, taking pictures. I was like, see you when I see you.
Thanks very much. Appreciate that. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm Costa from Littleton, New Hampshire. This question's for Mr. Middlebrooks, actually. Got into a little bit of depth about the obstruction call in Game 3. How did you actually personally feel about that call, and how did you bounce back from that thinking, oh my God, I just messed up this game?
I felt the heaviest I've ever felt in my entire life. Just because it would have been a tie game, we would have been in extras and probably won. And I felt like that was on me. The call was on me, so I felt like it was on me. I talked about earlier not wanting to let each other down, and pulling your weight, and yeah, it felt terrible. I went straight to my locker and just stand there and wait for the media to come in. You have to answer the questions. It's just part of the gig. But these guys were great as far as having my back with that situation and understanding the game and the moment and how it happened. And these guys are great. We moved on next game, and obviously it worked out. But yeah.
Everything worked out. I don't think you're looking for empathy, but I also lost this game. Yeah, we can share that. I feel the ball, I crow hop, I threw it on a line 200 feet. The problem is that third base was only about 100 feet away.
How about this young fellow here?
This question is for David Ortiz. What size bat do you swing?
I used to use 34 and a half, 33 and a half, 34 and a half long, 33 and a half weight loss. What, you want to use it?
By comparison, Salty, what do you swing?
34 and a half, 32.
32 use huge bats.
I used
Don't
a
be
barrel.
big.
Barrel in his back was like,
Yeah.
like a torpedo.
I wasn't getting jammed, that's for sure.
Johnny, how about you?
33 and a half, 33 and a half.
Johnny was a heavy back guy. I was 34, 32. If the guy was throwing softer, I would pick up baby bats every once in a while. I figured if it works, it's got to have bats in it.
And Greg, how about you?
I'll let you know when I swing.
How about this young lady here? Oh, yeah, over here. Oh, go ahead.
I have a question for Johnny. In the 9th inning of the World Series, you got a routine fly ball. Was it really routine?
Yeah, I mean, it was routine, but there's been a lot of negative things that have happened at Fenway, right? Bill Buckner, ball between the legs, which always stuck in the back of my head. But yeah, I mean, we're so routine. You know when that ball goes up in the air, you know, like I say, it's not, don't panic, stay fundamental, boom, get it in, get it out of your hands as soon as you can. But yeah, every fly ball should be created equal, but there's just more on the line or something.
I'm sorry that I interrupt you. You know that going back to Bill Buckner, my first World Series, playing first base at St. Louis, when I'm on my way to take the field, it was a huge sign down the left field line that said, "Hey, Papi, Bill Buckner is waiting for you at first base." That's unbelievable.
Oh, those people were supposed to be nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Never forget about that.
So my question is actually for Soccer Mafia, but first off I wanted to say you have 6 shoes, Gomez, so thank you. But mine's kind of a silly question. Do you ever think that all the extra letters in the back of your jersey cause you to run around the bases slower?
Well, I mean, between that and the wind always blowing in my face every time I ran. Yeah, but it's, I tell this story all the time, but like the funniest thing I ever heard of fans, I've heard all the critics you can say, but I was in A-ball, I can't remember what city we were in, but we were sitting on deck and I was swinging, ready, and guy goes, "Hey Salty, why don't you put your name on your ass, it'll fit better."
Will, Salty, Johnny, David, I can't thank you enough for the hour. It was just... Red Sox World Series.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Advertising Network for great more content like this one.